Hello, as we start, today we are going to talk about check raising flop when we are on the big blind. So what is check raise? It is the situation when we are on big blind defending against a free position. We make a check, and then after our opponent bets, we make check raise. So the idea is to take the initiative and neutralize opponent's positional advantage. Thus, we can realize our equity better, and we prevent our opponent from realizing his equity. So potentially he can bet the hand which is better than ours, but when we check raise, our opponent won't call it, thus he will fold and won't realize his equity fully. Right. So the more we face bets, the more we want to check raise. So basically we will check raise more on the flops on which our opponents bet like 100% of their range. We have two options. We have check raise for value, and we have check raise as a bluff. So if we are sure that we have the best hand, we want to increase the pot. We want to take as many chips as possible. So we make a check raise and hope that our opponent has something with which he will pay. Also, we can have a bluff. We think that our opponent has a better hand, but his hand is not strong enough, and we potentially can make him fold it. So we bluff with a check raise and get folds on flop, on the turn, or maybe on the river. Depends on the board. 1 second. We need to choose correct check raise sizing. On our current stage, we will think about sizing, focusing on the effective stack. So effective stack is the smallest stack between two. Let's imagine button has 80 big blinds, we have 20 big blinds. So effective stack is 20 big blinds, so we focus on the smallest one. Here on the right, you can see the sizings we will use. So when we have small stack size, we increase our check raise like x 2.5. And if we have more than 60 big blinds, we check raise bigger. So if our opponent bets 2 big blinds, we make it 10 big blinds. Because the higher stack, the less fold equity we generate with smaller sizing, so we need to increase it. Let's see the categories of the hands we can check raise. Okay, so it can be value hands, like on the top example, we have a flush, we check raise. We understand that our opponent will pay with pairs, he will pay with flush draws. For example, the opponent can have ace of clubs. Oh, I'm sorry, ace of, oh god. Yeah, clubs, ace of clubs and 5 of hearts. So he won't fold his ace of clubs on our check raise, and he will pay. Or we can simply have a straight. So we always check raise it. We can get paid by over cards, for example, queen jack, right? With diamond, this hand won't fold. Your opponent can have pairs like king 6, or he can have draws like ace 3. So he will pay. Thus we will get the value with our good hand. Also, we check raise sets in 2 pairs. Remember that opponents can always have a hand which they will pay. So don't slow play it, don't try to make traps and so on. Go on for value. If they don't have anything, they won't give you anything, usually. Especially on lower limits, people do not play aggressive enough, they like to check, they're afraid of bluffing, so we will miss a lot of value if we start slow playing hands which we can check raise. Top players with good kicker are also a great tool. We can check raise them, get paid by weaker hands. For example, 10 jack never folds on the flop. On turns like blank, like deuce or 3, 10 jack won't fold. Let's imagine on the river we will get another blank and opponent can pay 3 times thinking that we have a flush draw or we have some gut shots and something. So we can get way more than if we start check calling. The pot will be bigger if we check raise. So if you have good top pair with strong kicker, don't be afraid to check raise it. Now let's talk about some bluffs. Usually our main bluffing category hands will be draws and gut shots. You can see examples. So we have 8-5 for texture, and these are the hands which we can easily start check raising. So even deuce 3, for example, like it's not a strong hand, of course, but if we check raise it, we can make like every hand which folds is better than ours. So it can be any hand for, I don't know, let's imagine opponent have king queen, right? We check raise deuce 3. King queen probably won't fold, right? But if we get 9 on the turn and we continue betting, on the turn king queen will fold most of the times. So we make better hand fold. And the most important thing that we still can improve by the river and turn our hand into value bet. So if opponent has, for example, top pair or over pair, we can get value from it. That's the idea. So we check raise hands with backdoors. It's the second category. Jack 4 here, of course, it's a flush draw, but also we can get run out like 5. So if 5 comes up, we have not only flush draw, but also we have gut shot. And the most interesting thing that if we bet the turn, for example, when we get a 5 on the turn and we bet Jack 4 on the turn, our opponent calls, still we can turn our hand into a bluff on the river because will be a lot of combination which can scare our opponent. So he can think that we have a flush, not flush straight, for example, and we can make better hand fold on the river. So we can complete our bluff on the river. And not so obvious kind of hands, like take a look at this ace 3 deuce board. So we can have 6-5, yeah. Imagine this situation. So you defend on the big blind, you see the texture like ace 3 deuce, and our opponent bets. How often do you think he will bet on such texture? It's close to 100%. Like everyone will bet 1/3 of the pot there and gets his fold and easy, busy. And if we call, for example, with 6-5, our opponent still can try to bet the second time with any hand like, whatever, 7-8, for example. So he can think, our opponent can have 3, I can make him fold 3 on the turn, or I know some king high. And then we will, for example, call with 6-5 on the turn. And on the river, our opponent can get scared, say, okay, I think he has an ace, I'll check behind, and imagine that you can lose against hand like 7-8 here because of kicker. But if you just check raise 6-5, opponent will fold like very big part of his range, king highs, queen highs, because he can't fight back there. It will be very difficult for him. So don't miss this chance. Always check raise these textures. Always look for the way to check raise these textures, because opponents always bet there, and they can't defend their 100% betting range against a check raise, and it's still you have equity. So if you get called on the flop, you still can bet the turn because you can improve by the river. You can get hard on the turn, right? You can have flush draw plus gut shot, so you will have a lot of equity. And that's very important. And still you will get folds on the turn or on the river. So that's the point. So we can have hands like this. So a6, king 6 on this texture. As you can see, we don't have a gut shot here, or we don't have any straight draw. We have, at that moment on the flop, we have like a high card only. But jack 5-4 texture still is a texture on which our opponents will always bet with all of their range. And if we check raise, we get a lot of folds. We protect our equity because we can get second barrel on the turn and we probably will fold our ace high. We don't want it. But if we check raise, we make a lot of hands fold. And also we can get a good run out. We can get, for example, 5 of spades. It's probably the best run out, not 5, 3 of spades. It's the best run out possible for us. So we improve to nuts flush draw and to open-ender straight draw. That's amazing. So we bet, we can get monster on the river, and as well we can make our opponent fold. Let's imagine our opponent had ace 10 of hearts, right? He called our check raise. We get 3 of clubs on the turn, of spades on the turn. We bet the second time. Our opponent folds his ace 10 of hearts. So we win against a better hand without a showdown. I think it's perfect. So don't forget to do it. Try to always identify if you have a backdoors, how often opponent bet on such texture, and use check raise as much as you can. So there are examples. 10-6 here as well. We have nothing on the flop, but we can get a lot of good runouts on the turn, which will help us to continue barreling. But remember, if you check raise, like in these situations, and you don't improve on the turn to some draw, consider option of check folding on the turn. If you improve, yeah, continue betting big, and so on. And probably the last category, which is important for us, is the textures which we can check raise against late positions. That's important. So the later position, the wider range they open. For example, cutoff can open up to 45%, button can open raise up to 60%. And that means that they have a lot of hands they can fold against the check raise. So this texture, king 7-3. Opponents bet there always. Always you see bet. But opponent bets 60% of their whole range there from button, for example. How many percents of his range he will defend against a check raise? Well, considering how many hands he opens, it will be a small part of his range. So basically, against opponent, if you have statistics and you know opponent opens a lot and he always bets, you can consider check raising with any two. Like you can have their queen 5 of diamonds, right? And you see the opponent which opens a lot, bets a lot, and maybe you have mining, some hands on the opponent, and you see he likes to fold against check raise. In statistics, you can check raise it there like every time with any two. Also, consider check raising such textures with pairs on the flop. So opponent will have not so many hits there, and if it is not like very tough opponent who some high stakes regular, they will bet too often there and won't be able to defend against a check raise. I suggest you to choose hands with potential backdoors on such textures, so you will be able to continue with equity on the turn after check raising the flop. So, very important thing about sizings. If you face sizing bigger than 33%, you should think very carefully about check raising as a bluff, because statistically, opponents bet bigger with value. Not so many opponents understand that they can split their range, bet a lot with trash, bet a lot with value. So they usually, it's like 33% with value, some value with bluffs and so on. And if they have something strong, they start betting very big, especially on the textures with some draw or like dangerous ones. They want to bet bigger because they are afraid, they want to get their value, protect themselves. So avoid check raising as a bluff against bigger sizings, please. It can save you a lot of chips. And as well, check calling against bigger sizing without some solid equity. You should be very careful with it. And don't forget to watch out against which position you check raise. So remember that early position opens up to 22% or even less. Like field or population opens about 15, 16, 80%. So the board comes like this one, King 7-3. So early positions still have a lot of strong hands, which can call against check raise. They basically don't have many hands to fold, right? Like pure trash. Because button on the lower example can have hand like 8-9 offsuit. So it's a bet, and then he folds. He's 8-7 offsuit. 9-8 offsuited. He folds, and that's it. But early position won't have such hands. He'll have hands with backdoors. Like imagine he can have ace-10 suited, right? He have strong backdoors for flush draw. He can improve to gut shot on the turn. He can get an ace. So he'll probably won't fold against your check raise with 5-6. So basically you can check call your 5-6 there with a gut shot, try to realize your equity, because you won't get many folds when you check raise. But against button, you can check raise this hand and it will work perfect. How we can continue? So our main goal after check raise to try to hit the run out, which improves us. The best runouts usually will be the bottom part of the range, like lower card, like here. So 6-5 deuce we had on the flop, and then turn comes 3. That's perfect because this run out improves our range even in the eyes of our opponent, because our opponents don't have many straight draws because their hands, open raise hands, don't have many threes, and they don't have low gut shots, straight draws, and so on. But we have more of such low cards. Thus, they will believe our bet on the turn more. So, but if you face an overcard, for example, king or an ace comes, and if you don't have like flush draw, like imagine right here, so king 7, right, of spades we had. Yeah, we got a 3 on the turn, and it's easy bet for us. But if we get ace of diamonds on the turn, well, probably it is not the best run out for us. It's very bad run out, so we can consider giving up on the turn. So always pay attention to the run outs, which are usually the high cards are bad run outs. Low cards are good ones. So let's follow the plan. First of all, we always watch for the position. If opponent opens again from early position, we think about, he has mostly Broadway cards. He doesn't have many hands to fold, so we don't want to check raise a lot against early position. Then you always should look at the sizing. The sizing bigger than 33%, it's like 9 of 10 times it will be value. So avoid bluff check raising against such sizing. Also, watch for the texture. If you see the texture which will be bet, which you feel like you will bet 100% of the times, probably this is it. This is the right texture for check raise. Like in the example, king 7-3. It can be queen 7-3, jack 7-3, like whatever. Off-suited, not connected texture. is the texture which will be bet like always. So we can actively check raise there. Also watch for how good this texture fits us. So low textures usually are the best textures for big blind, and opponents will believe us more. Check raise on such textures as well. And if you get called after check raise, watch for a run out. If you see that equity comes, you get a flush draw or an open-ended straight draw, always continue betting. Do not stop. If you do not improve, if some overcut comes and you do not have pure flush draw, for example, so you do not have equity, you can't already, you have low chances to improve by the river, consider pressing check and then fold. On the turn, as I said, look for the run out, watch for your effective stack. So if you do not have many big blinds, you do not need to bet big. Try to bet like half of the pot, 40% of the pot. Try to realize your equity to watch the river. And if you have strong combination, value hand, try to adjust SPR, so stack to pot ratio. So bet bigger if your opponent has bigger stack. So on the river, you can put him all in and you can get his knockout. So thank you for your attention, my friends. I'm waiting for your reports and weekly reports and hope to see you soon in the main part of our school. Good luck. Bye-bye.